This is what happens when you actually build an aesthetic physique. Let's go. So I'm currently 17 years old and I started training at just 13 years old, and I made my fitness transformation going from this, looking like this, to this at 17 years old. And I can say that I'm quite proud of the progress that I made, given the time frame that I've been training and everything. And I think I've built a pretty aesthetic physique. But I can say that going to the gym, training, doing fitness not only has, changed me physically, but I think it has changed my life for the better, and it has shaped my habits and the way that I look at life. My whole mental health has improved a ton by starting fitness. And I wanted to make this video and to tell you guys why I started fitness in the first place, what I was like before I started fitness, and how fitness has literally changed my life for the better. And I think if most people started fitness, they would also see that their life has taken a positive trajectory upwards. So I wanted to tell you guys my story and how fitness changed my life. So if I'm gonna talk about my story, I gotta talk about my childhood. What was my childhood like before I started lifting in the first place? I was always the skinny kid growing up. I wasn't crazy popular. I was quite shy. My favorite things, I don't know, 5 to 9 years old, it was playing games on my tablet and playing with Legos and playing with toys, and that was pretty much about it. You know, I was I was very shy. I was skinny. I wasn't very athletic at this age. I mean, the only types of sports I would play was maybe at school and maybe with like a few other kids, but I was never crazy athletic compared to like other kids, like they go to like football and basketball and all these types of like activities. I wasn't really that much into sports. I mean, yeah, I would exercise here and there, but it wasn't like on purpose, like when you're a kid, you're running around, you're not thinking, oh yeah, I'm running around because it's really good for my heart health and everything. No, you're just running around because you're a kid, you have energy, you want to go ahead and be active. So when I was about like 9 years old, 8 years old, I don't know, but I got into Fortnite. And I would call myself a gamer when I was a kid, but to be honest, I can't really call myself a gamer because literally when I started playing Fortnite, it was pretty much the only game I would play, and I wasn't even really that good at it. This is one of like the first victory royales that I got on my PS4, and I don't know how many of you guys have actually played Fortnite, but if you can see this is literally 50 versus 50. This is the 50 versus 50 game mode, and I won on this game mode. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't too good at the game, but I really liked it. I was honestly addicted at this age. Like how people get addicted to all kinds of like bad addictions, like I don't know, smoking, drinking. Yeah, I think I started forming a literal addiction at 9 years old to a video game which I wasn't even that good at.
Some kids and even adults addicted.
Yeah, Fortnite rehabs are now opening in some parts of the country. 13 consumer advocate Tricia.
Anyway, wasn't super athletic, wasn't super, like my childhood wasn't extraordinary in any sort of way. I think it's similar to like a lot of kids growing up. I had a horrible diet looking back at it through like a fitness sort of lens. I was literally probably so malnourished, probably with like 50 vitamin deficiencies, because my diet literally used to consist of, I don't know, cookies, candy, pancakes, chips, uh, instant noodles, and that was pretty much it. Like I was probably super malnourished. And honestly, it's kind of horrible looking back at it, because imagine like your body is literally about to start puberty, it's about to start growing and getting stronger. And how can you go ahead and, be at your maximum when you're literally feeding your body just horrible food with literally no nutrition and it's like ultra processed? Anyway, but I did sort of work out when I was 5, 6, 7 years old with my father. And this video was taken by my dad. And I'm about like 6 years old in this video. And we were done exercising. We're doing like some basic exercises, like some sit-ups, some push-ups, all that kind of stuff. I don't really have that many videos of me exercising at this age, but it was basic, I was just like doing it for the fun of it. And this video was taken after I was done exercising. And as you can see, my physique resembles a Minecraft skeleton, but is what it is. I mean, I'm 6 years old here. Of course, I'm not going to be like one of those, like, everyone has seen those kids, bro. Like they're like 3, 4, 5 years old, and they're just like monstrous, like jacked or whatever. They're like on steroids at like 6 years old. I wasn't I wasn't one of those kids, right? Okay, so this is actually the first ever bicep picture that I took on my phone. And I think I was about 11 years old. This is like 2019, 2020. And I remember this picture honestly vividly because I remember I took it because I sent it to somebody. And you might be thinking, who are you sending to? Like, who am I sending this picture to? I don't know, but it was somebody on Discord, and I just wanted to go ahead and send this picture for whatever reason to, I guess, flex on them, literally, because I'm flexing my bicep. I don't know who I was trying to impress, but of course I wasn't working out, I wasn't doing anything. I'm literally like skin and bones pretty much here, 11 years old. Okay, so I wanted to talk about my mental health a little bit. 11 to 12 years old, I think quarantine affected everybody. 11, 12 years old, midway through quarantine, online classes, all that kind of stuff. My mental health was pretty bad. I was honestly depressed, I was anxious, and my literal daily routine would be, like waking up, going to online classes, but I would honestly mostly skip most of my classes just to go ahead and play games and like do whatever. And I would just like be playing games, not really pay attention to school, eat instant noodles like 2, 3 times a day, and maybe watch some anime. And that was pretty much my daily routine of 2021. Spend a lot of time in my room. Of course, I wasn't, moving. I wasn't eating right. I literally felt so horrible. And to be honest, I had no idea why was I feeling this way. But looking back at it now, it's probably because I was with bad people, with like some toxic people, online, whatever, kind of messed up with my mental health. I had a horrible diet, wasn't exercising, wasn't moving around. I hated the way I looked. I hated my whole life, to be honest. But I thought my life was meaningless. But then something happened. I started exercising. I started working out. And I didn't start working out in the gym. I started, working out in my bedroom at home. And these are the first pretty much like fitness progress pictures which I took. I was about 1 to 3 weeks into, exercising. And yeah, like these are like just some pictures that I took. Of course, I'm not looking absolutely phenomenal. My face is even blurred in this picture because I remember I also sent it to like some servers or like some people online. I started working out and everything. The types of working out which I was doing was just like doing the classic push-ups in my room. These horrible half-repped, flared elbows push-ups. Like, I don't know, I'm getting like 15% of gains out of this whole exercise. The first ever like workout routine which I ever did was doing 100 push-ups every single day and 100 to 200 squats. Of course I didn't do it like super quick. I took my time with it because I never really like worked out that much in my life. And looking back at these like push-ups and everything, I was thinking like, bro, nobody teaches you how to do something which is meaningful at school. Instead of teaching kids read or write, they should go ahead and actually like teach people how to do push-ups when they're like young, because some of them might actually go back home and start training for themselves and they don't even know how to do a push-up properly. But then eventually I learned how to do push-ups properly, and this is a video. I was doing diamond push-ups. Yeah, see, little hand placement, and then yeah, I started doing them with correct form. And to be honest, diamond push-ups, when I first started out, I could do like max like 2 reps, honestly. And even the first time, I remember I looked in the mirror and I tried to go ahead and do like a perfect push-up, like chest to the ground and everything and not flaring my elbows. I literally almost like fell to the ground because I could not do them. Yeah, right? But of course, the more you do it, the more you get stronger. So eventually I started, getting stronger. Okay, another bicep, pose. This is, I'm already like working out at this point, and honestly, like I see some gains. I think like this is way better than whatever this was, you know. So yeah, this is like a month or two into like working out. I took this like bicep video for myself, not sending it to anybody this time. And I carried on working out. I started getting a lot more into fitness. I was looking up like routines, a little bit of nutrition, and I'm still like mostly working out at home. I would occasionally go to a park outside, which had like some dip bars, some pull-up bars, and I would mostly do like my pull days, my back days outside, because it's very hard to go ahead and train your back muscles if you're just at home. Besides like you doing like some snow angels or like using some sort of equipment, it's very hard to train your back at home. So yeah, I remember this picture in particular. When I looked at myself, I was thinking like, man, I've made some gains, because especially in my chest, I thought like my chest was one of my strong points, and I was honestly very proud of myself, and my self-esteem started going up, you know. Even this photo, like I'm still like, of course I'm a little boy. Now I'm like, again, like 13 years old. But bro, like I was thinking like, I'm making some gains. I'm making some gains. I was honestly proud of myself. And I was still not skipping legs. Even though I was like a beginner and everything, I was still not skipping legs. I was honestly a little funny, but the first ever like real like leg workout I was doing was by this channel called FenX on YouTube. This 20-minute like leg workout, and honestly, it was brutal. Like my legs were burning like more than halfway through the workout and everything, but I was still not skipping legs. So proud of myself for that. Okay, carried on working out. This is like August 2022, and I was making some gains, but probably not at the rate which I wanted to, because I was thinking like, man, like why am I not making gains quick enough? Like looking back at the pictures and everything, like I'm still most likely like making gains. Maybe I plateaued a little bit, but I pushed on. By the time it was also like August, September-ish, by the time like these photos were taken, this was actually this like, I think it was like still summer. Yeah, it's like, of course it's like still summer. I'm outside next to this lake, and I remember, did a little like a few exercises. My dad took this photo, and this photo was very impressive to me, like when I saw it and everything. And by this time, like in this era, when I was, like doing these photos, took these photos, like fitness has literally pretty much became my life. Like honestly, I would wake up, research about fitness. Like my whole day was just wrapped around when I would go ahead and actually start exercising and start working out at like 4 or 5 p.m. Like that's literally all I was thinking about. How can I go ahead and start making gains faster? And then I went to a gym for the first time, and around August as well, with my father. And I think this was taken on the first day in the gym, and we would go every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or like once a month, basically. Honestly, like this was pretty much like my peak of, working out. And honestly, like this photo was crazy to me. Like I saw it, I was like, man, I always used to think like my back was literally like such a weak point. I can grow my chest, I can grow my arms, I can grow my shoulders, but like my back, I was thinking like, bro, it's horrible, but really I just had to start working out more, and I saw that, like my back is honestly pretty good. It had pretty good definition. And then something happened. I started playing League of Legends. And honestly, if some of my friends are watching this, they'll think this is such an OG photo. Yes, such an OG photo. They thought this photo was hilarious, because as you download the game, like some images start like popping up on your screen, like like League of Legends or whatever. And my friends got me into the game, and of course I'm not gonna bash at them or whatever for getting me onto the game, but around December 2022 through 2023, I kind of like stopped working out as much. I was still working out, but then it would start like progressively like going lower and lower. I would play League. There would be more days when I'm like skipping training and everything. And as soon as I went ahead and started playing like League and like other games again, I also started becoming a little bit more like depressed, anxious and everything again. Just like, honestly, I was just like unhappy with myself. But then around 2024 to September 2023, I don't know exactly, but I started going to the gym again, and these photos were taken in August of 2024. And, like this is when I started taking fitness seriously again, I started going to the gym regularly again. And honestly, I started caring about my own physique. And 2025 February to March, these are the time frames when I started taking these photos. And this is like one of the first few times when I started looking at my physique and thinking like, man, I've made like serious progress, and honestly, like my fitness started going up and up and up. And I used to use a lot of these pictures for the first few videos I posted on this channel, because I do look good in these photos, and I was honestly very proud of myself. And like looking at these photos and then comparing yourself to how I look like here and here, I was thinking like, man, I'm making progress. Even though it's slow, as long as I stay consistent, I can go ahead and still keep making gains. And this is me, 2025 October. This is how I look like. I've came a long way, to say. There were ups and downs, but I'm glad that I carried on. I stayed consistent, and with consistency, I really can go ahead and push through any sort of plateaus and everything. And the more you go to the gym, you'll soon be able to see the mistakes that you're making, and you can go ahead and fix those mistakes and start making gains more. Okay, so how did an aesthetic physique really change my life? Because I've taken you through like my fitness sort of timeline, through August 2024, August 2022. Like, how did I go ahead and actually change? How did my life change? Like, did it working out just like change my physique and just like fixed all my life problems? Not exactly, but this is what fitness has actually done for me the most. First of all, my mental health, as I've been talking through this video, my mental health, as soon as I started like working out and started to actually like look at myself and see myself changing in the mirror, that is when like my self-esteem, my confidence started going up, my depression decreased, my anxiety decreased, and I started believing in myself more. It also wasn't just like going to the gym and started believing in myself that I can go ahead and push this weight, I can do like this many reps and everything. But I literally started believing in myself in every aspect of life. It doesn't matter what it was. If it was some sort of a challenge, if it was some sort of game, I started believing in myself and thinking that I can actually do the things which I want to actually do, But just like my whole identity started changing because I started working out, I saw myself as more of like this, this disciplined guy, like not every single day I wanted to go to the gym. Not every single day I wanted to show up to my room and start doing push-ups. It's hard, not this is why like not everyone goes to the gym and works out, and honestly, the people who do go to the gym and even though like they're not seeing progress right away, like, their progress is slow, you still have my respect. And I think you should respect yourself more because, going to the gym, working out is hard, Going to the gym, working out really goes ahead and helps with your mental health. It helps with your self-esteem, your confidence. You just start viewing yourself more positively. And okay, working out and training has also helped with more better habits. Like working out in itself is a very good habit which everyone literally should be doing because like we're literally made and created to literally move and to exercise and to move around and not to be sanitary, like sitting on the computer and just typing away. Literally, like going to the gym, you'll soon find out that literally if you want good results, if you want a good transformation, if you want a good physique, you don't have to just go to the gym and lift heavy weights. You literally have to change your own lifestyle habits. So going to the gym and working out has made me start eating better. Like I've changed my diet. When I was a kid, I was eating literally crap. Like I was literally eating so much processed foods. And as soon as I started going to the gym and working out, I started caring about my nutrition more because I started caring about my health altogether. I started sleeping more. I started having a proper sleep schedule. Instead of like, quarantine times, I would go ahead and like sleep 1 to 2 a.m. At 1 to 2 a.m., I would literally like finish playing games by then, and then I would go ahead and like tell myself, okay, maybe I should like sleep before like my like my mom comes in and says like, what are you still doing? Yeah, And I also started going for walks and runs, because I just started caring about my health altogether. And once I started caring about my health more, literally like my whole life improved, because fitness, going to the gym is only just like one aspect of your life, but you also got to take care of your nutrition, your sleep, your cardio, all these types of things. And you'll overall just be feeling better. You'll be functioning better as literally a human being. And all of these things have been great. Okay. And by far, the biggest thing it is I started developing a more positive mindset. This also ties in with mental health, but I wanted to make this separate. I started developing a more stoic philosophy. I'm not some sort of, a big like philosophy nerd or anything, but I put Marcus Aurelius here because he is pretty much the literal foundation of the philosophy of Stoicism. And going to the gym and working out has really done this for me. And I really like this image, for example. And it says, do you have a problem? And you might have a problem, you might not have a problem, right? And if you don't have a problem, then why are you worrying about it? And if you do have a problem, then you should ask yourself, can you do something about it? If the answer is yes, then why are you worrying? Because you can actually go ahead and fix your problems, right? And if you don't, then also, why should you worry about your problems, right? When I was depressed around in, 2021, I had a ton of like problems. I was thinking like, oh, my life is so bad because of this and this and this. But what was I doing? What was I doing to go ahead and actually do something about it? Like, I have problems, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just complaining. For example, if I hated the way I looked, I hated being skinny, then the solution is to go ahead and eat more and actually start training. That is doing something about it instead of just complaining, and honestly, like some problems which you might have in your life, they're not actually that big of a deal as you make it seem. So started developing a more positive mindset, and I feel just like overall exercising and everything, it just lets you have so much more mental clarity. Start thinking straight, you can start going ahead and start being in the present moment, and you start appreciating the little things in life. So yeah, this is what fitness and going to the gym has done for me. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And before you go, I've actually made a Skool Community, which is called the Aesthetic Academy. And this is for people, young men, teenagers, anybody who actually cares about building an aesthetic physique, getting stronger, looking more attractive, all of this. And in this Skool Community, which is early access still, by the way, we will be talking about improving our diets, staying disciplined in the gym long term. And if you want to go ahead and learn something, if you want to go ahead and help other people out in this fitness journey, then you should join the Skool Community. Because honestly, man, one of the hardest things in my fitness journey and overall the journey of building myself up more, I didn't have that many people to go ahead and relate to, because of course there were like group chats and servers and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of people weren't actually the same age as me, and I couldn't always relate to everyone there. But if you go ahead and join the Skool Community, it is literally a group of people who actually care about the same goals as you, and you can discuss everything related to fitness, which we didn't actually used to have this like 5-10 years ago. Like there weren't these types of communities, right? For example, like on Skool and everything. So if you're new to working out, if you want more companionship, if you want to go ahead and make this journey of fitness more fun for you and for you to actually stay consistent in the gym, then make sure to join the Skool Community, man. That's the end of the video. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.